My name is Ashley Love, and today I will be discussing Bennett's Stages of Diversity in Intercultural Sensitivity Model and how it can be used in a practical setting. Bennett's stages of diversity in intercultural sensitivity are denial, defense, minimization, acceptance, adaptation, and integration. The principle behind the denial stage is to create more differentiation among general categories of cultural difference and to avoid premature discussion of really significant cultural differences. Defense breaks down us and them. Our own culture is obviously the best, so we try to denigrate other cultures and elevate our own. Minimization is the belief that we have common characteristics and share basically the same values as human beings. Acceptance of cultural differences indicates a respect for differences in both behaviors and values. Adaptation of cultural differences indicates that we have enough empathy and appreciation for cultural differences to be able to shift with and adapt to individuals with different beliefs and behaviors. Finally, integration of cultural differences mean that one has the ability to have their identity on just one culture but can entertain multiple cultures. To demonstrate how to utilize Bennett's stages of diversity and intercultural sensitivity, we will put it into practice using the following case study. My college has been teaching a difficult conversations course for the last 3 years in a traditional classroom setting, in a face-to-face environment. The administration wants to move the class performance to be taught completely online in order to make the class more accessible to current students and hopefully attract more students from outside the local area. The new course is to be available in 4 months. There is a lot of existing content from the last 3 years of teaching the course. Given the current social justice climate, the administration wants me to both review the existing material and make any appropriate updates by replacing any old and out-of-date course content with more culturally relevant and socially conscious content. The first step of integrating social justice into the training course is to do an analysis of the state of current training and determine the potential gaps. In this step, we'll determine the goals of the course and focus on the target audience. We'll look at the background of the students or participants in the training and determine our target objectives and the best way to deliver our message. Using Bennett's stages, we'll set the objectives to break down cultural differences and handling difficult conversations with our employees. We'll start by doing a gap analysis and identify the content of the course to determine the areas to be analyzed and the goal of the content. Next, we'll determine what the future state of the training should be. For example, we'll expect the course to be delivered electronically and it should encompass aspects of the current social justice climate. Once we've determined the future state, we'll analyze the current state and compare the current and ideal future states of the course. Finally, we'll record the gap between these two slides. In the design phase, we'll determine which tools should be used to gauge the performance. We'll consider our learning objectives, lesson plans, and consider any technology and media needs for the course. We'll determine the resources needed to deliver the training and assign a time frame for each activity. We'll consider which skills should be obtained at the end of each course section. We'll determine what is needed to obtain feedback from our participants to ensure our goals are met at the conclusion of the course. Most importantly, we'll ensure the design of our course will fit in with the knowledge and abilities of our participants so they can get the most benefit from the information. To implement Bennett's stages, the phase will help us be sure we are accepting and implementing different cultures and learning styles into our sessions. The design of our course will set the stage for integrating our social justice messages. In the development phase, we will collect data that we've previously obtained and use it to design course content on difficult conversations. In this stage, we'll develop and test our course learning objectives. We'll learn the time frame that we have to deliver the course objectives and be sure our lesson plans are adhering to this time. Because we are moving from an in-person session to an electronic session, we'll need to be sure we are testing all of our materials and technology and putting a plan into place that allows our participants to get the most information from the discussion. We'll also review our materials to be sure we are hitting our objectives in this stage. We'll set our lesson plans to include concepts of difficult conversations that include learning how not to set up an us versus them mindset, and to speak to differences in cultures and how we incorporate and respect those differences in our conversations. We'll also speak to universal values and commonalities as it relates to the minimization phase of Bennett's 6 stages. The phase of this course of planning and updating is critical because it involves the meat of our conversations and ensures we are delivering the course content and messages we intend to relay to our participants. In the implementation phase, we'll determine the logistics of delivering the message. Given the topic of difficult conversations, we'll likely include group discussions and potential breakout sessions to get our audience more involved and engaged in the topic. We'll need to look at the technology needed to change the course from an in-person session to an online session. Items that we'll need to consider will include things such as computer technology, webcams, audio requirements, internet accessibility, pen and paper. We'll need to determine our best method for recording the session and look at backups in the event something fails with our planned delivery. We'll need to test any audio, online quizzes, Zoom, and other applications needed to deliver the course. We'll prepare our participants for any items needed on their end to get the most use out of the lesson. The last step is setting up our revised course on difficult conversations as the evaluation stage. In this stage, we'll consider whether or not we've hit our objectives and the main goal of the content we wish to deliver. We'll determine what steps are needed to move forward with implementing the desired learning once our participants have completed the training. We'll create a process for evaluating the candidates to determine if increased knowledge has been achieved and get feedback from our participants. Using the participants' feedback, we'll determine if we need to make adjustments in future sessions or whether or not the instructor was clear and the training objectives were concise. The results of the evaluation will be reviewed and shared with any appropriate parties. In this step, we will look back at our content and the learning objectives of our participants to determine if we achieved greater knowledge and implementation of current social justice messages. In our content on difficult conversations, we'll look to see that cultural differences in conversations are accepted and adapted in our practices and that we've conveyed the appropriate message in our lesson plan. Let's take a look back on what we wish to achieve with our review of the training course. As we deliver our course on difficult conversations, we are looking to achieve 3 goals in our update of the course. First, we want to find an effective way to move the course from an in-person to an online session to help reach more potential participants. Second, we want to integrate current social justice conversations into our difficult conversations course and implement ways to deliver this message into our lesson plans. Third, we want to use ADDIE to set these objectives and incorporate Bennett's stages to implement the social justice messages. Our methods will ensure that we bring increased knowledge to our learners and deliver the content in the most appropriate fashion for our individual learners and celebrate differences in culture by reaching their unique methods and learning objectives.